northeast wind, climbed up there, set the camera up, and it was hardly any wind at all. And I should know better, but anyway, after I get everything set up like that, you know, I checked. Oh no! I mean, it's not northeast; it's west. It's dead wrong, you know, for me, you know, and I didn't have any options. I went, you know, give me a break, you know. Do I wrap it up, or do I? So I thought, well, I'm going to sit here 15 more. I'm going to give it 15 minutes and see if it continues, you know, out of the west, and or if it's going to swing around, and if it was just a little eddy coming out of the northeast, you know, whatever. Anyway, and I give it whatever 15 minutes, and here comes, it was a booner. It was a Boone Crockett buck, and he was chop stepping right on a doe, you know, 40 yards from me coming down, and as soon as he hit my downwind, you know, he locked up, and you know, he never saw me, but he, you know, he kept looking, and you could see it was obvious that he smelled me, you know. But there, as I said, I'm a big believer. If I did something wrong, and I can learn from mistake, great.
Absolutely.
But you know, if you just get, you know, kind of screwed out of it, and I mean, I had no. And again, it's just the weather, man. I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. But had that wind been just, you know, the way it was supposed to and predicted, I would have been fine. You know, type of thing. But anyway, like I said,
and these are some of the things you discuss, share some of those methods in your boot camp. Then.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. I would take the attendees out in the wood. The first day, it's 3 days, and the first day is basically lecture like this. I'll explain it to them, and then the next 2 days, I'll take them out into the woods, show them the tree stands, and explain. This is why this situation is here, like this is how I hunt it, this is when I hunt it, and you know, like this stand is basically an observation stand. This one is for when there's foliage on the, you know, you got good background cover there, whereas this is not a good late season stand because after the leaves drop, you're skylined on approach. In other words, 9 out of 10 guys will walk right in on the logging road and, you know, climb in the stand. And I'm saying I park, you know, I'll show them where I park, and believe it or not, I park, you know, way up there and walk down the mountain, across the creek, up the other side and down the ridge, just to, you know, in order to not disturb the animals that I'm hunting. You know, people just, you know, then I guess my hope is that by showing them that and then showing them the results of doing that, they can, you know, understand what might be necessary, and that we can't be lazy and stuff. Right. And again, the father-son, the bonding with the kids, meaning that you know, I want to take the kids out, and I want the fathers to take the kids out and tighten that, you know, father-son bond and stuff like that.
They don't
and
have to
hand, in other words, don't just say, you know, get in the shooting house and I'll get you off, wake you up when a big one steps out.
There's a couple bags of corn or sugar beets, you know,
yeah, right.
yards out.
In other words, you know, take a rub and say, now notice on this hillside that I showed you those beds on the way in here up on top of the ridge. So that's where the deer are bedding. And the reason they're bedding up there is in the warm air rises and they can smell anything coming up from below them. All right, so the food source is down at the bottom of the ridge. And so they're feeding here and bedding up high type of thing. And you look at this rub and you notice that he rubbed the tree on the downhill side of that sapling. Therefore, that animal is on his way, he's rubbing that tree on his way to his bed type of thing. So because they bed in the day and are mostly nocturnal, that rub was made in the morning, and you can tell which direction that deer was going. Woodsmanship stuff like that, common sense things that you know, they're not going to learn by watching most of the TV and
Right.
shows.
Instant
and,
gratification.
And, again, unless they actually get out in the woods and do it.
Yeah.
You know.
And I don't watch a lot of TV, very little TV myself, but it always intrigues me. Every once in a great while, you get somebody. Usually, it's up to bear camp. We have a TV there, because bear hunting is more of an afternoon sport, and so, anyways, we'll see. I can't remember the one hunter's name, but he shows and explains how many times it took to film the kill. And you know, see that a lot where you watch this program where they shot a 150 plus, pretty darn nice buck that most people would probably feel very pleased about, and it instills in them that it was almost like, I just took a walk.
Just walk in and get in the tree and boom.
Yeah, it was
that's
just like that. And if I don't do that, and what's going on, and we get that in camp with bear hunters, deer hunters, not all of them, pretty smart people most of the time, but every once you get somebody that is frustrated that maybe they sat 3 times and didn't see a shooter buck. Because they've watched it here every time they turn the TV on.
Right.
I should
They're
be
shooter
going
buck. Yeah.
Yeah, right,
Oh
right.
yeah. And,
But they're missing the fun of it.
Right,
I mean,
right.
again, it's
usually, and it's not me to correct them, because I won't even get into that dialogue with them, because I can't. I'm not there to be an adversary or an argument. But say, for instance, I'm the guy in camp, and I said to you, hey Barry, I'm set there for 3. You got another spot? That we get that a lot. But, and then pretty soon, no, well, we'll think about it, and gee whiz, you go and you think, I'm gonna get another iced tea or something, I'm gonna go for a walk, get away. Pretty soon, his hunting buddy, or maybe somebody else in camp, I don't know, well, what you been seeing? Pretty soon he kind of corrects it. So we kind of leave it to them a lot of times, and usually it's it's self-corrected in camp. But I used to think it was a guy that just maybe, or sometimes a gal, that's got a little ADD going on. That they're the person in camp too. Give them a remote. We've watched 5 programs in the last 15 minutes. We haven't seen anything more than 2 minutes of the program, but they just can't stand,
Patience.
I
Yeah,
don't
absolutely.
even know. Again, I shouldn't say this because I know I've met 90% of the TV celebrity hunters and stuff like that, and there's a couple of them that are really good. There's a couple of them are really sharp, but there's a lot of them that are absolutely phony.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, they'll tell you whatever they think that you want to hear, type of thing.
Yeah.
But my point is that I don't watch any of them. And consequently, I don't keep up on stuff like that. Guys will say something about somebody and never heard of them. I mean,
Yeah.
and I'll say, I don't know, is so and so still doing his show, or oh no, he died 3 years ago. I don't know. I don't.
That's a laugh about him dying.
No, but
But,
you know what
yeah.
I'm saying. I mean, I don't even know some of these shows. I don't even know if they're still on the air, type of thing.
If they're making money, they'll probably stay there. If they're not, then they purge themselves out of the. It's
right,
become
right.
such a big business, as you know more than I. But it's a little frustrating, to say the least, on this guiding business, and that's a selfish perspective from my standpoint. But this instant
Now
gratification.
let
is
me
just
clarify.
unbelievable.
You run bear hunts in Ontario?
No, in the UP. I was
In
just
the UP,
had
okay, in
hunted
Michigan,
there
okay.
before, yeah. But
Okay.
we do turkey, bear, and deer, and we have a pretty solid, very solid turkey population, and everything's big timber where I go, and so I do the turkey hunts in the northern lower peninsula at our one camp there, and then the deer or the bear hunts in the upper peninsula. I do some in the northern lower.
Now, is that a spring and a fall season, just a fall?
We just have a fall hunt.
Okay,
in the spring.
okay.
Spring, I can't remember if it was available.
I didn't
and
know,
when,
yeah.
if it was, when that was pulled off the table, but
Did you just finish your
we
bear
did.
hunts?
We did pretty good. We did 9 for 14, and for
Oh, good.
black bear hunting, and and it took me a while to understand a success is an opportunity. So you came back to camp and you passed up. Now, an opportunity might not be or it isn't a sour cub or a substandard bear,
Yeah.
and that's open to interpretation. One guy might shoot a 150, and the next guy won't shoot anything less than 300. Anything less than 300 if you can judge it that specific. But when I had 3 or 4 guys that passed up bear, and 2 guys
Yeah, they have to realize that,
Yeah,
you know?
two guys realized they probably should have. We had him on camera and had him on film, and the next guy sat there 3 days later, and he harvested the one that one guy passed up, and we waited out, and it was a decent bear, and he thought, yeah, whoops, he misjudged it, but he's good with that. And but it took me a while to realize that, okay, we tagged 5 bear, we had 10 hunters, that's 50%, not taking into consideration, well, 3 guys passed up shooters, but they just, they just weren't ready to, pull the trigger or whatever it might be, and
Good.
yeah, successes or opportunities are
As long as they understand and, agree with the fact that, they could have if they wanted to,
Yeah. One guy I interviewed, he's John, he's from Essexville or Bay City area, super nice guy, he's been blessed with ability and the desire to hunt all over, and his big passion is hunting with beagles running rabbits, and he's got a real strong, yeah, it is. It's a lot of interaction. Sit and be quiet necessarily all the time. So, he's got some high-end rabbits. He's now kind of relinquished that over to his grandson. But they're an international breeding stock that sells a lot. Or has big clientele, or could be if he chose to get in that direction. Would be out of Japan, and of course, hunting in there is, such a privilege. But
In Japan?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I've been there.
yeah.
They sent me over in the what was that, the 80s? That was in the 80s, I think it was. I went over and I met with the All Japan Hunting Club
And that's what most of them are. Hunt clubs.
Well, it blew me away. They sent an interpreter with me, and basically they wanted me to talk about bow hunting as a hobby, because and I'll try to cut this short, but the interpreter said that the Emperor of Japan, basically the general Japanese, individual, they're either multimillionaires or peasants.
Yes.
Okay, and then the millionaires, but a lot of them, they work. All they do is work, sleep, and eat. That's all they do. They have and the emperor apparently decided to go